Happy Empowered Wednesday, and welcome to the Mindful Entrepreneur Talks, where I get a chance to interview some amazing guests and we talk about all things entrepreneurship, how we bring more harmony into our lives, create that meaningful experiences both in our business, and we share strategies and tips for business growth in a very mindful way. So thank you very much for all of you who are already joining us. And we have a very special guest today, and I'm going to let her in. Today's guest is Emily Kim, who is a Boston-based branding photographer and a business mentor to other photographers. And I'm so excited to have her. There she is. Hello,
Hi.
Emily. How are
Hi,
you?
Isabella. I'm doing well. How are you? Let me just readjust my camera here. Can
Yeah,
you hear me okay?
I can. Can you hear me
Okay.
okay?
Yes, I have my little tiny mic. I thought that would be fun today.
Amazing. Awesome, awesome. And I also bought some too. So we'll see how that works. Maybe I get a chance to wear one next week. So Emily, thank you so much for coming. And I wanted for you to introduce yourself, just so the audience knows you a little bit more. So take it away.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Emily Kim. I am a brand photographer and photography educator. So I work with small businesses, solo entrepreneurs, coaches like yourself. I take their brand photos, but then I am also nowadays focused on teaching other photographers how to do what I do.
Amazing. Yeah, because I know last time we met at Scottsdale,
Hmm.
Arizona, and I knew I just loved your energy. And I knew I'm like, okay, we'll be friends. Right? Energy is everything. And you have also a beautiful story as you left corporate. So we have
Hmm.
similar stories when it comes to that because you were following your passion. So maybe just share a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I went to school for computer science. I got my MBA, basically checked all of the boxes to be able to rise the corporate ranks. My first job out of college was as a software engineer at Apple. Thought I had made it. It was a really great job. I really learned a lot working there, but then as I kept working, I realized,
Mm.
oh, I don't think I like this. Like, I don't think I like being in an office and working on things where I don't really, I worked on a lot of internal
Yeah.
corporate tools, right? So I didn't feel that I was really making an impact on
Yeah.
everything or on anything, really. And then 3 years into my corporate career, almost exactly 3 years on the dot, I left my job to pursue my brand photography business full time.
Amazing. Yeah, you just followed those whispers of your heart, right? You just couldn't say no to your purpose, really was calling you.
Hmm.
And you are very talented. So I know how busy you are, and I wanted for you, maybe we start with some maybe personal practices or strategies that you do daily or weekly to help you bring a little bit more of that harmony into your business and also your life.
Yeah, I have been working on this for a really long time
Mm.
because with my upbringing, my personality type in general, I have always been a workaholic. So having that balance has always been very tough for me. I was
Mhm.
always very, very busy growing up in school, very, very busy while I worked my corporate job because I was doing my photography business on the side. And then when I started my business, I was like, oh, I need to go 100% full force into this to make it work. And it wasn't until my entire life got uprooted. My husband got a job on the East Coast. So I started my business in California. We moved out here. That was when I
Yeah.
started realizing,
Yeah.
like, oh, this is not sustainable what I was doing before. Like, I was great. I was making really great money, but in the long run, this is not going to last forever. So when I moved here, I went from having a full-time client load to none in Boston. And that was a
Mhm.
really good time for me to reset because I was forced to. So some of the things that I have now incorporated into my daily routine, now that I have been settled, been here for almost 2 years now.
Okay.
I take slow mornings. I really enjoy my slow mornings. What I used to do was get up, get ready as fast as possible, run to get to work because I had to catch a shuttle to get to work. That was my morning. That's how I
Yeah.
started my day every
Yeah.
single day. Not very relaxing.
No, I've been there.
Like,
I know exactly when I used to commute 3 hours a day. Yeah. Hop on a GO
yeah,
train. Yeah.
yeah. Not very relaxing. And then
No.
when I started my business, I kind of continued that because I would start photo shoots
Yeah.
in the morning,
Yeah.
right? 10 a.m., but I have to commute to go to those too. So it was the same like rush to get out the door. And it wasn't until I moved here where I wasn't doing that that I was like, okay, maybe we can reset this. So other things that I
Mm.
do, I take a slow morning. I don't open my laptop until like 10. I don't
Yes.
really take calls until 11, which is really good for me. And then I also do morning pages. Are you familiar with the book The Artist's Way? Oh
No.
my gosh,
Okay.
one of my top three recommendations for all entrepreneurs. It's called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. It's kind of like a textbook almost. She walks you through this 12-week program essentially where you go through these exercises
Okay.
to reconnect with your creativity. And one of the first things that she recommends you do is called morning pages, which is just every
Huh.
morning you open a journal and you just write for 3 pages straight. It doesn't matter what you write, it doesn't matter how pretty it is. All that matters is that you get to the third page because essentially what you're doing is dumping out all of the stuff
Yes.
swirling around your brain
Yes.
in the morning, which allows you to start your day with a clearer mind.
Okay. So you know what? It's funny that you say, okay, so she calls it that way. So it's morning pages. So through my life coaching training, we called it subconscious writing because as
Mm-hmm.
soon as you wake up, you are already right. You were in that dreaming state, and lots of beautiful ideas can happen. And you just dump. So for 10 minutes, you
Mm-hmm.
write and you don't. So I guess it's a similar practice, just different. Okay, different name.
Yeah, yeah, basically the same thing.
Yeah.
And whether you time box it or
Yes.
like pick pages to
Yes.
go through, whichever floats your boat.
Yes. Oh, yeah. No, I find, yeah, it's just that creative writing, connecting with your heart, your soul, right?
Hmm.
And what did you find that did for you?
Well, I started doing the artist way before I left my
Oh,
corporate job. So I started doing the morning
oh
pages.
wow.
And
Okay.
I kept finding day after day after day, it just kept coming up over and over again. I want to quit my job. I want to quit my job. I want to quit my job. And then I was like, okay, I've been at this for 6 months now. This is something I need to seriously consider.
Yes. So you really, it helped you gain that clarity that you needed,
Hmm.
connecting
Yeah,
with the purpose, right?
it really did. And I also find that when you bring whatever is in your subconscious up
Yeah.
to your awareness level,
Hmm.
the opportunities start showing themselves
Yes.
more frequently. So, something that you've heard me talk about was how I always wanted a photography studio, like a place that I could call my own, a place that I could decorate, bring my clients to. And in my brain, I thought there's no way that's going to happen. That's like 10, 15 years from now. But I kept writing about it. And then one day I was bored and just said, oh, let me just do some research, see what
Hmm.
comes up. And then found a lease at a studio. I went to go see it just for research. I ended up signing the lease and then it became my studio. And that's what ultimately led me to quit my job was because I was like, I can't sign this lease and get this up and running and work my job at the same time. So I need to make a decision.
Yeah.
And which I was
Yeah.
right.
See, and sometimes it's like the as long as so the way I see it is as long as we have that trust that universe always has our back, we don't need to really know the how, right? How we're going to
Mhm.
get there, because you didn't know. All you knew is, okay, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to quit my job. I know I want to be the photographer, right? That this was your passion. And you also, though, didn't just sat there and kept writing, right? It's about that inspired action
Mhm.
that you were willing to take. So I think from this conversation, and whoever is listening, and oh, we see Debbie just joined as well, and Victoria, hello, ladies. Um, Really, is about taking that moment to do the creative writing or subconscious writing, right? To get it out of your system, right? This is when we connect with the heart and our soul, and really getting that clarity of what is that next step. And then having the, I would say, the guts to take that inspired action, really not knowing, like exactly what you just did. It's like, oh, I'm just doing it for research. And suddenly, and I know you fell in love with the light because of
Mm-hmm.
the location, right?
Yep.
And you just knew that was for you.
Yeah, 100%. I walked in, saw the windows. It was only an 8-minute drive from where I lived at the time. And I just knew as soon as I walked in, like, oh no, I'm about to sign this lease.
Yes. Okay. Amazing. Amazing. And now you're not even there because you moved,
Mhm.
right? That was in California. And now, so you had to really start from scratch.
Yeah, yeah, I did. I last year sold the studio to the photographer that I was working with, so
Okay.
it's still there. It's in great hands, but it's still my baby, but yeah, it's not mine anymore.
I know. It's okay. It's still there. You gave the birth to it,
Hmm.
right? And now it's like, yeah, for someone else to cherish and nourish it.
Hmm.
So, so let's switch gears to business side of things, because obviously you are in completely new market, right? You're in a new city and you needed to pivot. So what maybe one or two strategies that you were able to lean to also grow your business in this new city?
Hmm. One thing that I knew I wanted to do, and this was also kind of like an external force is forcing me to start doing this thing now. I have always loved teaching and mentoring, even in my corporate job, even before like when I was in college. It's just always something that
Hmm.
I have done. When I was running my photography business at my peak volume, when I had the most number of clients, I was still getting requests from other photographers
Yeah.
asking, oh, can you do a one-on-one mentorship with me? Can I come shadow you? Just lots
Mm.
of requests like that. So when I moved here to Boston, I thought, well, I have a lot of time on my hands now. Why don't I focus on that side of my business? Because I've built up the brand photography side in California such that it kind of runs on autopilot and has for the last year or
Hmm.
so.
Hmm.
And I'll go back to California every once in a while to do photography. It's not a
Hmm.
long-term plan because I don't want to be flying back and forth
Yeah.
coast to
Yeah.
coast every time.
Yeah.
But now, since I moved to Boston, I've used that time to build up my membership community, which is something that I have wanted to do for a really long time,
Beautiful.
and work on my course for brand photographers, which is another thing I have wanted to do for a really long time. So, in terms of the business strategy, it feels a little weird because it is totally different from what I have been used to in full-time entrepreneurship, which is one-on-one client work, and shifting into that more course creation one to many instead of one to one work has been a shift for me.
Hmm.
In terms of booking more brand photography services, because that's something that I still do offer, I rely pretty heavily on my network. So I love to meet people.
Hmm.
I try to go to at least 2 or 3 networking events a month.
Hmm.
That's my main strategy. I'm always introducing myself to people, always hopping on coffee chats with people, even if like when I get on these networking chats, I'm not trying to like book them as a client, right? I'm just genuinely
Yeah.
introducing myself. I want to get to know you. I want to know, can I introduce you to someone
Yeah.
that
It's about
might help you?
connecting, right? Authentic
Exactly.
connections. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. So that was the very first thing I did when I moved to Boston.
Hmm.
I posted in a really big Facebook group. There's like 50,000 people in it. And I introduced myself and I said, hi, I'm new here. Like, this is my business. I would love to connect with you. I dropped my 30-minute scheduling link in the chat, and I met between 20 and 30 people just off of that one post. And then from there, the effects are exponential. So they introduced me to clients, they introduced me to other people, introduced me to other networking groups. And that is essentially how I not only grew my business here, but made all of my friends here is
Yeah.
just from that one
Yeah.
post.
And it's amazing. And you know what? Sometimes, and I think what's really what I'm hearing, those two strategies that also I know with the clients I work with, and I have personal success when it comes to really leveraging two things. One is that active listening, which you actually really leaned into when everyone was coming to you for that advice, right? And you're like, okay, I don't know exactly what it looks like. All I know is I love to mentor and I love to teach. And by listening actively, you were able to deliver the solution to those that needed it. So with your membership and with your program. And then two, is I always call it, it's other people's audiences. Lean into, right? Yes, of course, we all, if that's someone's goal is to create your own community, but the fastest way to grow, it's actually leaning and borrowing other people's communities. So you're so smart, because I've seen that strategy as long as it's like authentic. And
Hmm.
for you, it was like, yeah, you came into the new town and you were really wanting to make these connections. And I'm so proud of you for doing
Thank
that.
you. Thank you. Yeah, it's what I recommend to everybody as well. And I always try to return the favor. So whenever I see new people moving to the Boston area, it's a very transient location. I
Mm,
will always make time to meet someone. If they're like, I'm new to the area, would love to connect, I always make time for it.
exactly. Especially, you know what, like I find when part of the strategy, and also like my big word for 2025 is connection. And I'm trying to be more mindful, who it's also connection with myself, but being mindful who I'm connecting with, and what is that purpose of that connection, and go deeper versus just on the surface connections and saying yes to all things, because we only have 24 hours, right? So I think, also the law of reciprocity, right? When someone is helping us, I think it's a beautiful way to pay forward and help someone else, because we honestly, we never know, right? Who we meet. And I always tell, whether they people in my community or my clients, is we have to remove um, like that way of expectations and
Yeah.
wanting a particular result. We can remove so much pressure
Hmm.
if we are just open to making new friendships, making new connections, just meeting new people. It's almost like it's more of a thinking about networking as a professional party, right? It's like when
Hmm.
you're going to an event with friends, it's the same,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, 100%. I love what you said about removing the expectation because I think where people run into the problem is you go to a networking event and your expectation is to book a client from
Yes,
that. Almost never happens. Never happens
yes.
if you go in with that expectation.
Yeah, because I think, and from what I've seen, my own experience, and the people I meet and my clients, it's normally nowadays, it's you need at least 8 touch points
Yep.
before someone, right, says yes to you. And I find that a lot of people, whether they are new entrepreneurs or new business owners, they get discouraged like right from the
Hmm.
get-go, and they quit. It's like, no. It's like,
Hmm.
oh, I started reframing that every no is just means not yet. They
Hmm.
may not be ready, right? Maybe their life is not ready, but you just never know who that particular person may connect you with. So
Hmm.
just be open to things. And when we have that belief and faith and trust, awesome things happen.
100%. Yeah, I 100% agree with you.
And so, what do you do? Because obviously, you are very committed to doing those networking meetings, and that's how you meet your clients and people in your community. 2 to 3, it's a good number. How do you maybe how do you show up confidently? And also, maybe a couple tips if you can share
Ooh,
today.
yes. How do I show up confidently? A pep talk myself beforehand. I always try to make sure I'm wearing one of my favorite outfits. That
Ooh,
always helps. How you present yourself definitely helps, your whole presentation, your confidence, the way you carry yourself.
yes.
And then I, that's a good question. I always go in. So if it's a networking event where it's a specific type
Mhm.
of person, so for me, I look for general business networking events and also anything specific to
Okay.
photographers because that's who I'm looking to
Mhm.
attract now. So if you're in a specific niche, see if you can find related niche
Hmm.
meetups or networking events to you. And then based on the type of people at the event, usually there will be a situation where you go around the room and you introduce yourself, right? I always tailor my introduction based on the people in the room. So if I'm going to a room of general business owners, not any photographers, I'm not going to go and introduce myself and say, "Oh, I'm an educator for photographers," because they're like, "Okay, well, that's not super helpful." I'm going to introduce my brand photography services. But if I'm going into a room of photographers, I'm going to say, "I am an educator and I teach people how to niche into brand photography."
Hmm.
It's the same as the advice that you're given when you are sending out resumes for job applications. You want to
Yes.
tailor the resume exactly to the job. I do the same thing. So when I had my resume, I had a huge long running document of every single potential bullet point on a resume, and I would just pick and choose what made the most sense for the job. Same thing going to a networking event. Just pick and choose
Oh,
your experience because we're all, multi hyphenate. We have lots of different things we
lots.
want to say, lots of
Yeah.
ways to describe ourselves. So
Yes.
just have them in the back of your mind and then tailor it to the group that you're in.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love this so much. You have no idea. This is so important. And I remember when I still in my corporate days, I actually had four versions of a resume,
Hmm.
depending which I was very lucky to stay with one company for 20 years, which meant lots of different opportunities and opportunities for growth and trying new things. So I absolutely tailored resume depending on the job and right the roles and responsibilities, because sometimes what we do may not be relevant, but
Hmm.
maybe 5 years we did something complete, right? So it's just being again authentic and truthful, but it's the how you write it or how you introduce yourself depending on what audience you're talking to or the environment you're in. So I think it's like, oh, such a great tip. Thank you for speaking
Yeah,
this language.
y-
Yes.
of course. It's such a quick tweak that you can do that
Mm.
it makes going to these events that much more impactful.
Yeah, because again, exactly to your point, yeah, you're when you're meeting the other photographers, then you would be okay. Other photographer, and they may think, oh, you know what I mean, like she doesn't have anything for me,
Hmm.
versus no, I actually can help you step up your game, right? Because
Hmm.
especially when someone is a new photographer, you can help them a lot.
100%.
Beautiful. So tell me, Emily, what are you working on? Because I know you're always pivoting, you're always innovating in your business. So what's new? What are some new things you're working on?
Yes, the most exciting thing, well, two exciting things. In March, I'm going to speak at a conference for photographers
Yeah.
called the Reset Conference. It's very
Mhm.
exciting. It's in Florida, Panama City Beach. I've never been.
Mhm.
And then later in March, towards the end of the month, I am hosting a free virtual summit called the Profitable Brand Photographer. So it's for exactly who it sounds like any photographer who is interested in the commercial product photography, personal brand photography side of things. I'm finalizing the speaker lineup this week. We have amazing people coming, amazing educators in the photography space, and I am super duper excited about that.
That's awesome. And that's so this the one in Florida, it's earlier in March,
Mhm.
and this particular one, is it online or
Yes,
okay,
online. Yes.
online?
So that event starts on March 18th.
Okay. Okay. And where do people get information? Is it already in your link?
I think so. It is,
Okay. We'll check.
I think I put it there.
Amazing. Amazing. We'll check and we'll add it to the notes. And okay. And what else? What else you wanted to share with the audience today? Because we have a Canadian audience. We have a lot of different people that follow us from US and other parts of the world. So how do they find you? And yeah, how did they take a next step with you?
Yeah, well, I hang out here on Instagram a lot. This is where you can find me the most at emilykim.co. I think they put our handles here
Yeah.
somewhere. And then I also have a podcast called the Profitable Creatives Podcast. That is definitely linked in my bio. I release episodes um, about every other week right now.
Okay.
That's the cadence that we're going with. And it is about my own business tips, business strategies for how I have grown my business, as well as guest interviews with amazing people.
Awesome. Okay. So that's all in your bio.
Mhm.
Beautiful, beautiful. Any final tips you wanted to share to the audience today?
I will share my favorite entrepreneurial catchphrase. A lot of people say progress over perfection. I prefer the term iteration over perfection
Ooh.
because progress is kind of nebulous, right? Like, what does progress mean? Looks different from for everything.
Yeah.
Iteration is you have to go and do something. So we were talking about it earlier, like taking that inspired action. You're not going to get better at something until you do it. So whether it's networking events, whether it's, I mean, something as simple as posting content online,
Mhm.
you got to do it to get better. Even if the first version is bad, that's okay because we all have to start somewhere.
Beautiful. Thank you for that tip because I think so many people just overthink and get
Hmm.
that paralysis, right?
Hmm.
Versus perfection paralysis versus just, you know what? Take that pressure off and just tell yourself, okay, how can I be just 1% better?
100%.
Right? And that 1% is never just 1%. It's more like 80%. Because I find, honestly, in my days, both I would say in corporate and now as a business owner, I take 80% inspired action over 100% perfection any day, because to get to that perfection, it maybe takes you 6 months or 12 months versus take that inspired action and learn as you go, because that's how we can achieve beautiful things and meet interesting people. So just, it's, I always say, don't grip things so tight. Don't make it about you. Drop the ego and just go
Hmm.
after your dreams, and surround yourself by people that can help you, right, to take those inspired actions as well.
Yes, 100% agree.
Beautiful. Emily, thank you so much for being here today and for taking time. And I'll put all the details in the post so everyone knows where to follow you. And everyone, please check out her events in March, because I know you will get beautiful knowledge from Emily, especially when it comes to brand photography. So thank you very much again, Emily. Thank you very
Thanks,
much to all of you who
Isabella.
joined us. And I'll see you later.
Thanks for
Happy Empowered
having
Wednesday.
me.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.